Okay, well, good morning, everyone. Hi, my name is Linda Cifelli. I'm one of the librarians at Keene University. Welcome to this morning's Digital Library Research webinar. And thank you for coming today. There are a number of things that I'm hoping that we can cover. I guess our primary objectives are to spend a little bit of time looking at some of the key library databases that are available through the Learning Commons. We'll definitely take a look at WorldCat Discovery, which is a database that provides access to Keene's books and ebooks, as well as articles and other types of things. We'll also spend time looking at our databases A to Z page, where we can all access databases that are really relevant for specific subject areas. If we have time, we'll look at our periodicals A to Z and a way for you to make sure that you're connecting Google Scholar to Keene University if you happen to be using Google Scholar. And I'll also make sure that you have my contact information as well as information about how you can access help from librarians and other Learning Commons people as you're going along and doing your work. So what I'm going to do is navigate out to the university website. And at the moment, I know we have a small group. So if you do have questions, please feel free to, let me know verbally, or when I'm sharing my screen, it can be hard for me to see what's coming through in the chat window. So if I'm not answering your question right away, if you send it through chat, please do just verbally let me know. Also, what I'll do is I'll make sure that each one of you gets a certificate of attendance. One of my colleagues is helping me do that. So we want to make sure that if you do need to show a professor that you've attended today's session, you'll have proof of your attendance. So hopefully you're able to see my screen right now. I'm at the university's website, and I'm going to navigate to the Learning Commons website through the Quick Links menu that's up here in the top right corner. When you click on Quick Links and look about halfway down the menu, there's a link for Learning Commons. Up until last spring, the link was labeled Library, but it did switch to Learning Commons because the name of our facility changed actually about 2 years ago now. At that time, some of the important student support services moved into the same facility that had been used by the library. So at that time, writing services, tutoring services, and the public speaking lab moved in. We all share the same building, but we also work together collaboratively online as well. So when you visit the Learning Commons website, what you first see is this Welcome to LC Engagement Zone rectangle that pops up over the website, and it provides shortcuts to some of these important student support services. For instance, if you want to book an appointment with tutoring or the writing services, you can do so right from the book an appointment button. If you want to schedule an appointment with a librarian, there's a schedule appointment button under research support. And that's where you'll see me as well as my colleagues Craig and Chris are listed, and you can book appointments with us. I'm working from off campus right now, so I'm doing all of my appointments online through Google Meet, but Chris and Craig are working on campus. So if you'd prefer to stop by the Learning Commons in person, they are there, physically there in the building as well. Before I close this Welcome to LC Engagement Zone box, I did want to mention that we also have this Learning Commons support chat window that pops up. It's available 24/7. The librarians and other Learning Commons staff monitor the chat window when the building is open, when the library Learning Commons is open. Right now we are open Monday through Friday from 8:30 a.m. till 4:30 a.m. The hours will go a little bit longer, I believe around March 1st. And you could always reach out to us through the chat window, even if you are working later in the evening or on weekends, because the chat service is monitored 24/7 by librarians who work at other universities, and they can help you with research questions, even though they're from other universities. So it's definitely worth a try. But I'm going to go ahead and close that window, the chat window, and then I'll also close the Welcome to LC Engagement Zone window and click off of that, because it was actually hiding some of the research tools that are back here on the website. So for instance, right here in the center of the home page, there's Search WorldCat Discovery, which is sort of like our one search option. It's our discovery service. It allows us to search not only for books and ebooks held by Kean University, but also articles and even videos and other types of things that are available through our collections. In fact, above that search box, if you want to focus on books or ebooks, you can always click the books tab or click on articles. But if you leave it on everything, you can run your search and then search just that. You can search everything that we happen to have. And this is where you can sort of do a keyword search if you have a topic that you're interested in. You could also type in specific titles or authors. I am going to go ahead and run a quick keyword search. I have a topic that I've been working on this semester, but as I said before, if you happen to have any topics that you're focusing on, please let me know, and I'm happy to sort of tailor our searches to what you're interested in as well. Okay. Um, Oops. So let me go back over here. So I've been interested in focusing on information about mindfulness and college students. So if I just type in the term mindfulness and then college students, helps if I spell it right. I can type in mindfulness, and then I'm actually going to group college students together inside quotation marks. So I'm telling the database to do a phrase search on the phrase college students. But I also want the database to look for the term mindfulness. When I run this search, I'm doing it as an everything search. I'm getting well over 1,000 results that are picking up on these search terms. And right now, the database is defaulting and only showing me things that are supposed to be available from Kean University. And it's likely that we're going to see different types of formats, different types of items showing up on the list. Like number one, I see it's labeled as an ebook. We have a number of ebooks on the list. As we scroll further down, we'll probably run into other things like number 6 is an article. We probably have print books on the list as well, somewhere further down. I'm not going to just keep scrolling though. If you are trying to aim for particular types of documents or articles or books, you do have the option on the left side of the result list. You can limit to a particular format. So if you're most interested in ebooks, you can click the checkbox by ebooks. If you'd rather focus on articles, you can click on one of the article checkboxes. But for now, I'm just going to take a look at what's here. As we saw, we do have a lot of ebooks showing up on the list, and they should have the View ebook button in most cases. So when you click on the link for View ebook, I had already logged in with my Kean email username and password earlier this morning, so I'm still logged in, and that's why I was able to get into the ebook right now. But when you first log in, it will prompt you to log in. Just use your email username and password. And this ebook happens to be coming to us from the ProQuest company, but sometimes you'll see different company names towards the top of the screen. You might see EBSCO or Sage or Gale. So we do get ebooks from different companies, but usually they have very similar features available, even if the screen looks different from one ebook to another. So for instance, this one here, it's telling me that our institution has unlimited access to this book. I can click read online, or I can download the book onto my own computer. I'll go ahead and click read online for now. And what'll probably happen after about 5 minutes, it's going to ask me to actually check the book out online. If that happens to you, don't be concerned. If you click yes, check it out online, it's not going to charge you or anything. It's just the way that the ebook company manages the ebooks that it provides to libraries. So it's not going to charge you. If anything, the university will pay for access to the ebook. So through the library databases that we're seeing here. But here we do have an ebook, and I can just click page by page through the book. I also have a menu on the left with the table of contents, so I can jump around to different chapters. If I'm interested in particular keywords, I can type those keywords where it says search within book, and then I'll get a list of the pages that contain my keywords. So I can steer myself to the most relevant parts of the book. Other common features that you'll find in the ebooks are some of the buttons that we see across the top of the screen. So if I want to download, I can click PDF and then just follow the instructions. If I want to print, click print to PDF and then follow the instructions. It's likely not going to allow you to print the entire book, but usually they allow you to print maybe 10 or 20% of the ebook. There are typically copyright restrictions involved, so that's why you're not usually able to print the entire ebook. I would also look and see if there are other buttons that would be useful for you, such as this share link button. When you click there, it gives you a hyperlink that you can copy and paste somewhere, and that way you'll be able to easily get back to this ebook record later on. I would definitely use the official link or share link or permanent link buttons that pop up, because if you were to instead copy and paste the link that you see at the top of your browser, that link is not likely to work for you later on. It's probably going to time out. So instead, use the official link buttons that appear within the record. And then one other thing that I wanted to highlight is the citation help. Here we have the double quotation marks, and then it gives us the citation formatted in this case, MLA style, but I could always switch it over to APA or Chicago and then copy and paste it into a Google document or a Word document. Hopefully this will help you not only to keep track of your sources as you're going along, but it will also help you to start building your works cited page or your references page. But please make sure that you proofread this and make sure that it's styled correctly. This is a computer-generated citation, and it's not likely going to be perfectly formatted, but hopefully it's getting you on the right track, and then maybe you would just need to fix a couple of things and make sure it's absolutely correct before you turn it into your professor.
Excuse me?
Oh, yes.
Yes, on that last screen, you had that EndNote citation. How do you use the EndNote?
Oh, EndNote. Okay, so if you export citation to EndNote, you would actually need to have already created your own free EndNote account, which the university does have access to. Let me just, we won't have enough time to actually go through EndNote all the way. We're actually running separate workshops on EndNote, but just so you know, we do have EndNote listed. It's on the databases A to Z page, but also under the research menu on the website. About halfway down the screen, there's a link for EndNote Online Citation Help. So you would have to have already created an account within EndNote in order to use the export option from the database. I will say I'm glad that you asked about it, because it's a fantastic tool. If you create your own EndNote account and you have it ready to go, while you're running searches like this one here, and you come across books or ebooks or articles that you want to use as a source for a project, you'd be able to take advantage of the export button and then get the information about the source directly into your EndNote account. So usually you would just be clicking on it. Oh, this one's actually making me download it, and then follow a few steps. So as I said, we're doing actually a separate workshop on EndNote, because it does take about a half an hour to kind of get it up and running and take a look at all the features. But if you're interested in exploring EndNote before one of those workshops, back on the Learning Commons website, under the research menu in the top left corner, there's also a link for the EndNote Online User Guide, which does give you instructions for how to register if you're on campus, or how to register or how to set up your account if you're off campus. So if you're working from off campus, you would want to follow these steps here.
Okay.
But I would definitely recommend, my colleague Craig has been offering EndNote workshops, and he goes through all of the steps. So you might want to look into attending one of those, and he'll go over the steps with you and other people. But it's a really fantastic resource.
Thank you.
Okay, sure. Thank you for asking. Um, Back on the previous screen where we originally had the result list for the ebooks and then other things, notice how each record on the WorldCat Discovery result list also has buttons in the bottom right corner of each item on the list. So again, there's a cite option where you can choose your favorite citation style, whether it's APA or MLA or something else. Again, it may not be perfectly formatted. Notice there's an export to EndNote option over here on the left as well. So you'd also be able to work with EndNote from WorldCat Discovery. There's a link option, so it gives you a nice clean little hyperlink that'll work later on. And then there's an email option. So you could also fill out the email form and send yourself the record that you're looking at this moment. So there are different things that you can do to keep track of your sources as you're going along. But in addition to the ebooks and print books, I mentioned earlier that we also have articles on the list. So as I mentioned earlier, on the left side under format, you could always click one of the check boxes by article. But for many research projects for different courses, students need to focus on finding articles from peer-reviewed scholarly journals. So there's even an option under content type on the left to add a check mark by peer-reviewed. And when you click peer-reviewed, the database will show you only the articles published in scholarly peer-reviewed journals. You have to evaluate what comes up on the list and make sure that it meets the requirements for a project, but hopefully it's steering you in the right direction. And notice how we are getting view full text links for these journal articles as well. So if you click on a view full text link, it should open up a new window and lead you over to the database that happens to provide full text access to that article. So this one took us over to Science Direct, and I can download the article. And then here we have the full text, 32-page long article. So this one looks like it's a scholarly study. So it's definitely would appear to meet the peer review option. So back on the result list, once again, you would definitely take advantage of those cite, link, and email options. If you do happen to come across something that does not have a view full text link or a view ebook link, or it's not a book that's held by our library, but it says that it's held by other libraries worldwide. I don't have any examples on my screen right now. But if you happen to come across something that's held not by Kane, but by someone else, let's see if I have an example of that. It's always hard to find examples, things that we don't have when I need to find one. But if we can imagine that maybe there's something here that's not held by Kane, but you really want it, what you could do is click on the title. So I'll just pretend that number 11 isn't held by Kane. You would click on the title, and then on the next screen, rather than seeing the view full text button that we're seeing now, it would instead say request item through interlibrary loan. So if you ever see that as an option to you, I would recommend that you try it. We do have this interlibrary loan service that we participate in, where our students and faculty and Keen community members can request items that other libraries have that we don't have, and we'll try to get you a copy for free from that other library. If it's an article, we'll try to get you a PDF, and then we'll send it to you by email, so you'd be able to have the PDF version of the full text. So if you do have questions about anything that comes up when you're running your own searches, though, I would definitely recommend that you reach out through the chat service on the Learning Commons website or reach out to one of the librarians, and we're always happy to help you troubleshoot or brainstorm. Sometimes the hardest thing is figuring out what are the keywords that work the best for your own topic. So we'll try our best to help you get to the information that you need for your projects. I'm wondering, do any of you have questions so far about anything that we're looking at or we're talking about?
No, everything is right. Like we're sort of acclimated and used to the program, but now I think we have a better view on it and everything we can access. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. And we also have another option I would definitely recommend to you, because if you happen to be aiming for journal articles for a particular course, one thing that I sometimes personally have trouble when I'm searching within WorldCat Discovery is that it can be difficult to find only articles published within a specific subject area. So for instance, if I'm taking a psychology course or sociology or business, if I'm typing in keywords in WorldCat Discovery, even if I limit to articles, it can be difficult to only get articles from psychology journals or business journals. And if that's something that you want to do, I definitely recommend that you navigate over to the databases A to Z page. We have a link for databases A to Z right here below the Search WorldCat Discovery search box, so we can click that. But also, when you first go to the Learning Commons website, when you first see the Welcome to LC Engagement Zone section that pops up over the website, we do have a shortcut to A to Z databases right here in the Welcome to LC Engagement Zone area. So either way, if you click on A to Z databases, it takes you to the listing of all of the specific databases to which Keene University subscribes. So these are the databases that are that WorldCat Discovery is utilizing when it's pulling up full text. But this is where you can really focus in on a particular subject area or databases that provide access to different types of information. So notice how, of course, everything is listed alphabetically. We have over 230 databases right now. So the alphabetical menu is useful, especially if you have a favorite database that you use all the time. If you're not sure where to start, you might try clicking on where it says all database types right above the alphabetical menu. And that's where you see different types of information. So if you need like biographical information or career information, company, industry, and so on. So types of information are listed here. Even pro-con information is listed here, as well as statistics. So if you click on the type of information, then you'll get links to the databases that provide access to that type of information. Statista, for instance, under statistics is one of my favorite databases right now. It's a great way to get statistics or infographics, like visual representations of statistics. It's a really cool database to try. But if you're focusing instead on a subject area, I would use the All Subjects button instead. So for now, I'm going to click Clear Filters, Browse All Databases, and then instead click on All Subjects. And then you'll see a number of subject areas where you can choose the subject area that makes the best sense for your project or your course. I'm wondering, I don't think anyone actually mentioned what class they're attending this workshop for. Are you focusing on particular subject areas today?
Well, we're in this psychology course.
Okay.
And it's a 2000 level course, and we have to look up articles a lot. So really what you've provided us, with that article search is definitely going to be really helpful.
Okay, yeah, I'm glad you mentioned this because we have some excellent psychology databases. So all three of you are in the same course right now?
No, I'm communications.
Communications, okay. Thank you. Okay. Okay, yeah, so this is really helpful. So what I would actually suggest back on the A to Z databases page, So for the psychology course, of course, if you go through psychology on the subject menu, what you'll see are the databases that we recommend for psychology research. So for instance, the psychology, the 2000 level, if that's Psych 2000, I know a lot of students take that, or other psychology classes. You have options for things like EBSCO-host psychology resources. When you click, it gives you several databases that we get from EBSCO that happen to cover psychology. So for instance, PsycInfo and Psych articles are great options whenever you need to look for journal articles relating to psychology topics. Let me just go back though, because for psychology, you would also have options for like psychology database from ProQuest, which is another completely different database that's excellent for psychology research. Okay, so, oops, sorry. So for Rocco, you mentioned that you're in communication. Again, if you go back to the A to Z databases page, let me click clear filters. And then under subjects, we do have a category for communication. And right now we happen to have only one database that we consider to be the best fit for psychology or for communication, the one called Communication and Mass Media Complete, but that's because it specializes in communication topics. But some of the others listed below would actually also be really useful for communication research. Unfortunately, Communication and Mass Media Complete happens also to be available from the EBSCO company. So just like many of those psychology databases we mentioned a moment ago. So if you don't mind, I'm actually going to go back to the original 200 plus databases. I click clear filters, and I'm actually going to go in through the letter E on the alphabetical menu and then click on EBSCO host research databases. So on the menu under E, EBSCO host research databases, and then I'm going to click the link for EBSCOhost Web, which shows up in the middle of the screen. By clicking EBSCOhost Web, I then see the complete listing of all of the databases that we get from the EBSCO company. Some people will just click select all and search all 40 or 50 databases that are listed here. I get a little bit overwhelmed by that, so I would usually go through and maybe add check marks next to the ones that seem to be the most relevant for my topic. So for instance, I like to keep the check mark by Academic Search Premier because it's a multidisciplinary database. But as I scroll down, I'm definitely going to see the Communication and Mass Media Complete database. So for Rocco's class, I'll add that check mark. And for psychology, as I scroll down, so notice how we have lots of other subject areas as well, including education. So if you're ever doing an education research topic, we have a topic like or an option for education source and for ERIC. Actually, I'll go ahead and add those in because my examples are useful for education. But then further down for psychology, it's sort of in the area of this list where you would see the P's listed in alphabetical order, but recently the database actually added APA in front of the psychology databases. So if I add a check mark by APA Psych articles and then APA Psych Info, these are both databases that provide access to journal articles in psychology. And you have lots of other options, including sociology and business and sports medicine. So you just choose the databases that make the best sense for you. And when you click continue, it finally brings you to the search screen where you can run your searches. And at the moment, it's only showing that we're searching Academic Search Premier. That was the database at the top of the list, the multidisciplinary one. But if we click Show All, then we see that we have all of those other databases selected as well. Okay, so
So
this
this is like
is
a shortcut is what you're showing us.
yeah. So
Okay.
it's a way to do sort of like one-stop shopping. You can search once across a number
Right.
of different databases, especially if you include Academic Search Premier with your other databases. It gives you a chance to find more articles, more possible articles for your topic. So it's a good way to approach it. Um, and you can always change your database selections at any time. Just click where it says choose databases above the search box, and you can go back and remove check marks by some of the databases. But this is where you can run searches using your keywords. This database system will work best if you do what's called a Boolean search, which means if you connect your keywords with connectors like the word and or the word or. So for instance, again, if I want to focus on mindfulness college students, um, here I would do mindfulness and college students. And then maybe if I want to throw in and stress or and academic performance. So by putting the word and in between my search terms, I'm just telling the database to definitely find articles that mention mindfulness, as well as college students and academic performance. So using the word and tends to steer you in the right direction. It may not be a perfect result, but hopefully it gets you on the right track, and then we can go in and revise the search terms if necessary. So we're getting 74 articles. It's not a whole lot, but I imagine that maybe there are different words that I could use instead of academic performance. And for instance, number 1 on the list, it's actually somebody's PhD dissertation. I see in the section labeled subjects, several lines below the title, that there's this phrase academic achievement that's applied to this article rather than academic performance. So that's maybe giving me the idea that maybe I should go back up and revise my search and then add in academic achievement, either instead of academic performance or in addition to academic performance. There might be other words that show up here as well. These subject words, I think, can be helpful in several ways. They can help you see if you're on the right track, but again, they can suggest alternative keywords that you can use when you go back and revise your search. But usually when you first run the search in a database system like this one, you tend to get different types of articles and other types of documents. So I mentioned that number 1 is actually referring to somebody's PhD dissertation, and we don't actually get PhD dissertations from the EBSCO databases. We get them from ProQuest. But other articles on the list are labeled as academic journals. As you scroll down, here's one that's referring to a book. There might be others that are labeled periodicals, which tend to mean magazine. So for the classes that you're focusing on right now, I'd probably recommend that you go over to the top, back to the top of the list, and then look on the left-hand side. There's a section labeled Limit To. You can add a check mark by scholarly peer-reviewed journals, and then the database will weed out anything that was not published in a scholarly peer-reviewed journal. So it takes away the books and the magazines and the PhD dissertations. And now we should only see academic journals, peer-reviewed journals, hopefully, on the list. You still have to evaluate them and make sure that you're on the right track. And you might also need to adjust the publication date range. If you only need articles published in the last 5 or 10 years, you can always adjust the date range here on the left to make sure that you're focusing on the right date range. And then, then take a look and see if the things that you're finding are on topic. If you decide you want to revise, you have the search that's up at the top of the list. So maybe I want to pull in the phrase academic achievement. I'm actually just going to copy and paste it. So what I'm going to do is put a parenthesis in front of academic performance. Then after academic performance, I'll put the word or as a connector, and then academic achievement, close parenthesis. So in this way, I'm still telling the database, oops, that I definitely want it to find articles that mention the term mindfulness. I definitely wanted to find the phrase college students. Oops, look at messed up, I think. Or here I'm telling the database that it has to find articles that mention either academic performance or academic achievement somewhere in an article that it pulls up. Both of those phrases don't have to appear in a single article, but at least one of them. And this is a way to maybe give yourself a chance to find more articles. Originally we had 58, but when we run the search now, it goes up to 69. So it's a little bit more articles to consider. Maybe even add in grade point average or academic success, and then I have the others. So it's a way for you to give yourself a chance to find more articles, more relevant articles, so the number keeps going up little by little. So you have to sort of play with the terms a little bit. It may not be a perfect result, but the more you try your different ideas, hopefully it'll lead you to the things that are most relevant for you. And hopefully the articles that look interesting will have full text links, such as some of the PDF full text links that we're seeing here. PDF full text is pretty straightforward. When you click on the link, you have the image of the original article as it was published in the print journal. So here we have a nice 14-page long article, and it says here in the abstract it is a study. And if you have to evaluate and make sure that you're finding peer-reviewed journal articles describing research done by the authors, you definitely want to look and see if there's a method section. That's the telltale sign that you're finding an article describing a research project done by the authors. So when you find the full text article, the full text, hopefully there are buttons along the right that allow you to click email and send the article to yourself. Within the EBSCO databases, when you click on email, before you send the message to yourself, look for the citation format drop-down menu, because you can choose your favorite citation style. And then when you click send, the database will send you not only the attachment to the PDF, but it'll format it in whichever citation style that you've selected. So that's another way to keep track of your sources and to start building your references page or your works cited page. But there's actually another option on the right. There's a cite button. It looks like a little piece of paper with yellow. And again, if you click cite and it gives you a sneak peek at the citation style, this is actually what the database will be emailing you when it sends you the help with the citation style. And I can see right away that I'm going to need to clean this up before turning it into a professor. For some reason, it has the author names all in capitalized letters, so that's not right. Also, it looks like there's a bit of a problem with the capitalization in the article title, because in APA style, it should only be the first letter of the first word capitalized, everything else lowercase, unless it's a proper name or the first word in a subtitle. So I would need to clean that up a little bit. But earlier, Rocco, you had asked about the export to EndNote option that we had seen in the other database. Well, the EBSCO databases have that as well. There's a button on the right. It looks like a little piece of paper with a green arrow. It's the export button. And if you happen to have your own EndNote account, you could always click Direct Export to EndNote Web, click Save, and that's a way for the database to automatically send the article information into your EndNote account. So definitely there are different options that you can take advantage of that will help you in your research, and to save time, help you to keep things organized, and help you to build your bibliographies, which is so important. I'm wondering, do any of you have any questions about anything that we're looking at right now? There are a few other options that I did want to mention as we go along.
Nope,
Okay, so far so good. Okay, sure. So just a few more things that I wanted to mention. Let me go back over here. Okay, so occasionally you'll see different types of full text links showing up on your list. So you might see linked full text. Basically, when you click on linked full text, it takes you to the full text article, likely through a different database. So here it took us over to Science Direct. There's the download PDF, but there's actually no handy email option showing up within Science Direct. So if you want to email that article to yourself, I'd probably click on the article title instead. And then along the right, you have the options for email, for cite, for export, and so on. So sometimes you do see different types of full text options, and you might just see how you can get it to work. Number one on the list actually has the full text up here, just 3 lines below the title. It says full text from Eric, rather than down below all of that article information. There's another type of full text link that sometimes pops up. Let me see if I can find one. Yeah, number 12, there's this full text finder option that pops up. And usually that means that we don't actually have access to the full text for this article from the database that we're using at the moment. But the system is recognizing that one of the library's other 200 or so databases is supposed to have the full text. So if you click Full Text Finder, yet another window pops open. And usually it just takes you right to the full text article. But if you instead get the little sad face, try clicking where it says open the page in a new window up at the top of the screen. And hopefully it will just lead you to the full text. Okay, so here's the article now from Sage Journals, and then there's the download PDF option. So sometimes you have to click around a little bit before it actually works. So I would just try, be patient, try different things. And if you're trying everything and it's still not working, definitely reach out to the Learning Commons, to the librarians, through the chat service, or you could always email me directly, and we're happy to help you troubleshoot and figure out what's going on. If you do happen to come across an article that looks like it might be the perfect article for your research, but it does not have a full text link, you don't have to give up on it. For instance, let's see on the screen here. Okay, number 8 on the article. Okay, looks like it might be a pretty good article for the topic, mindfulness, academic performance, university students, but there's no full text showing up here, no links for full text. Even if I click on the article title, it's only going to show me the article's abstract. It's a little slow. So only the 1 paragraph summary of the article, but there are no links for full text. So if I decide that this is something that I'd like to try to get my hands on, maybe it would be a really good resource for a project, what I would recommend that you do is maybe first thing I would copy and paste the title. I'm going to copy it, select it and copy, and then I'm going to go back out to the Learning Commons website, one of my other windows, and I'll navigate over to the WorldCat Discovery search box. And I'm just going to paste the title in to the search WorldCat Discovery. I'm going to put quotation marks around it. So I'm doing a phrase search on the title of the article. And not surprisingly, it's telling me that we don't have it at Kane. Do you want to expand your search to libraries worldwide? So I'll click yes. Okay, so now a record for the article comes up. It's still not showing a full text link, but what it does have when I scroll down on the screen is an option to request the item through interlibrary loan. And it's really handy. You just click on request item through interlibrary loan. It asks me to log in using my Kane email, username and password. So I'm not going to actually sign in right now, but if you do that, it'll give you a form that's already filled out for you, and you might just have to add a few more things to it and then send it online. And then one of my colleagues will try to get you a copy of the article for free from another library, and then hopefully you'd receive it by email, and then you're good to go. You have the full text. It is a free service, so whenever you come across an article record that looks like it might be really relevant for you, but you're not getting the full text, don't necessarily give up on it. Check to see if it's worth requesting through interlibrary loan, and hopefully we'd be able to get you a copy for free. So it's definitely worth a try. Are there questions about any of this? We're talking about lots of different things right now, but I'm hoping that these are resources or options that will help you no matter which research project you're working on. But I was thinking for psychology as well as for communication, the databases that we're using from EBSCO, I think, will be excellent resources. You tend to get a lot of articles from different journals from these databases. However, it will not be everything that's been published. So if you've landed upon a search strategy that seems to be working pretty well for you, you might want to copy that search and then navigate back out to the A to Z databases page. If you were going through the subject menu, as we looked at before for psychology or for communication, you might want to click on some of the other databases that are listed here. They each have a description attached to them, so those descriptions can help you pick and choose the databases that make the most sense for you. So for instance, under communication databases, we have databases like ProQuest research databases, ProQuest Central, Project Muse. Under psychology, when you scroll down, we have other databases like the psychology database from ProQuest. When we scroll further, there's Science Direct and other options. So you might want to make some database selections from those menus. You can also just work from the alphabetical menu, and I would probably click on the letter P and then scroll down and choose something like ProQuest Research Databases or ProQuest Central. These happen to be good one-stop shopping type options which cover many different databases. It's coming from a completely different company. Before we were using EBSCO databases, now this is ProQuest. But the same search strategies that we used earlier will work here. I think the one thing that I hadn't talked about that would have worked in the EBSCO databases as well would be if you happen to have any search terms that have different variant spellings at the end of a word. Like, for instance, maybe instead of searching for college students, I wanted to focus on young adults or young adulthood. What I would do is type in young adult and then stick an asterisk symbol at the end of it. So I probably should have done that over here as well, young adult back in EBSCO. So whenever you have a word like adult singular, adults plural, or adulthood, if you just type the beginning of the word, stick an asterisk at the end of it, and then the database will automatically find article records that mention the different variant spellings of that word. So that would have worked in the EBSCO databases, but it should work here in ProQuest as well. And I'll warn you, ProQuest tends to give you a lot more articles than you were finding originally in the EBSCO databases. So it's apparently a much bigger database system. But what happens is that you'll get pretty relevant things towards the top of the list, but you may find as you scroll down that things start going off topic. So you'll have to sort of make sure that you're evaluating what's coming up in the result list. But notice how on the search results, to the left of each record, there's a little picture and it describes what the document is. So here we're getting dissertations and theses, and here we are getting full text to PhD dissertations. So these are likely more than 100 pages long. So they're much longer than journal articles. You'll see journal articles, you'll see magazines, you'll see newspapers. So along the left, you can limit to peer-reviewed if you want to focus on journal articles, scholarly peer-reviewed journal articles. So the number of results goes down quite a bit. And on the left, you can also adjust the publication date range. So if you need things from the last 5 or 10 years or last 12 months, you have those options. And then that should bring the list down to a more reasonable number as well. And you can certainly revise the keywords just by making adjustments to what you see across the top of the screen. And you tend to get lots of full text in the ProQuest databases as well. So hopefully you'll have the full text PDF links showing up. As you scroll down, you may see others that are not giving you the full text right away. I'm trying to see if I have an example. In the EBSCO databases, we saw the option for full text finder. You may see something similar here in ProQuest, although I'm not seeing an immediate example. So you may have to, try clicking different things to get to the full text, but hopefully it'll work for you pretty much right away. So the more databases that you can try, the more chances you give yourself to find really good articles for your topic. I think the trick is, first of all, selecting the best databases for your research need, and then figuring out which keywords will work best for you, and maybe trying your different ideas out. If you run into problems, I would definitely ask for help. My colleagues and I are always happy to help you and figure out what new strategies will work best. So just, don't be shy about asking for help if you need it. But I'm wondering, is there anything that we didn't cover that you'd like to talk about in the last couple of minutes?
Thank you. You really gave us a nice overview of how to use the database.
Oh, my pleasure. No, thank you for your questions. And I guess I do have one last question for you. Do any of you use Google Scholar at all for whenever you're doing research?
No.
So no, I know many professors will steer people away from Google Scholar, but I do recognize that people do use Google Scholar. So if you happen to be using Google Scholar for your work, or like as a database option for some of your work, what I would definitely recommend that you do when you're using Google Scholar is make sure that you connect it to Kean University. There's a really simple way to do this. So for instance, here I am on Google Scholar. Up in the top left corner, there's a little menu with the 3 horizontal lines. When you click on those 3 horizontal lines, you get a list of options along the left. You would just click on Settings and then click on Library Links. On my computer, I see that Kean University is already selected, but if you're working on your own computer, you would just do a quick search for Kean University. When it shows up, add the check mark next to Kean University, full text at Kean University, and save it. And now, if you run searches within Google Scholar, what'll happen along the right side of the screen, on occasion, you will see the full text at Kean University link showing up. And that means that for the article coming up on the list, we're supposed to have that full text article through one of our library databases. So if you click full text at Kean University, it will prompt you to log in with your Kean email, username, and password. Again, I'm getting the sad face, but let me try open page and new window up top. So it actually connected me to Kean University's database where the full text is available. So I think by connecting yourself, if you're using Google Scholar, make sure that you set Kean University as your library link. Be aware that Google Scholar doesn't give you everything, or it may give you older things that are maybe not relevant or maybe not what are requirements for a project. It can be difficult to steer yourself to articles from journals in particular subject areas, And you also don't get some of the search options that are available through the library databases. So I agree with the professors in that your best bet is to work from the Learning Commons website and use the databases that are available to you, whether you're working with WorldCat Discovery or what's available from databases A to Z. I think these are your best bets for getting the most relevant articles for your courses. And lots of full text. And as I mentioned earlier, if you do have questions, you could always reach out to me or my colleagues, either through the chat service, or let me go ahead and pull up my screen where I have my contact information. So you're welcome to reach out to me directly by my email address, lcifelli@keene.edu. But I've also put the other email address here, library@keene.edu, which is an email account that I monitor along with my librarian colleagues, Craig and Chrysler. So we're always happy to help you. So if you reach out to us in any of these ways, we'll try our best to help out and make sure that you're getting what you need. But as I mentioned earlier, I will make sure that each of you gets a certificate of attendance for attending today's workshop. So I have all of your names checked off here. And are there any questions before we close out today's session? So no.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome. So I'll just pull up my contact information here again.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for attending today. I hope that you have a great weekend and stay safe. And I'll go ahead, stop sharing. And well, that's it for today then. Sorry. I always try to close out the recording, but then I'm still sharing. So if you have any questions, please do reach out to me again. But for now, have a great weekend and thanks for attending.
Have a great weekend. Thank you.
Thank you too. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Bye. If your number was down quite a bit. And on the left, you can also adjust the publication date range. So if you need things from the last 5 or 10 years or last 12 months, you have those options. And then that should bring the list down to a more reasonable number as well. And you can certainly revise the keywords just by making adjustments to what you see across the top of the screen. And you tend to get lots of full text in the ProQuest databases as well. So hopefully you'll have the full text PDF links showing up. As you scroll down, you may see